Hey, welcome. If you love mixed media watercolors and you're just looking for a chill video, then this is the video for you. I'm going to be sharing, I think, one of my most random art hauls yet. So we're going to swatch, we're going to paint, and we're going to just learn a little bit more about these art supplies. This very first one is Transparent Yellow by MaiMeri Blu, and it is essentially PY150. So when I was getting these art supplies, and watercolors in general, now that I know a little bit more about pigments and whatnot, I tend to be led by the pigment information more so than the name itself. So I know that PY150 is Nickel Azo Yellow, and this is one of my favorite yellows. I just tend to find that they are really nice and bright and luminous. There's quite a bit of binder at the top, so I'll leave everything linked down below in the description. But yeah, I haven't used MaiMeri Blu before, and I've heard mixed things, so I finally bit the bullet because I was curious to know if I would like them, especially as we had a Ko-fi session, and during it one of the lovely Ko-fi members did a swatching session and we got to talk about it a little bit more, and I just got the impression that they are very bright, beautiful watercolors, and I think that that would complement my art quite nicely. The first few colors are going to be MaiMeri Blu, but I have gouache, acrylics, as I was saying, I have gouache, acrylics, and Neocolor IIs, just quite a few different art supplies. This is green gold. This is not a color that I usually get, but I was curious. I must admit, I was kind of like roughly held in mind getting the primaries, but more so I was just getting colors that I like and I'm interested in, or I was just curious about, or people had said like, wow, this is standout. First impressions of the green gold, I'm not loving it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I do like the transparent yellow though, the Nickel Azo Yellow. I think that that's quite nice. It's perhaps not as orange leaning in mass tone as some of the other ones that I have tried, but it's not bad. Then we have Quin Magenta next, and this is PR202. This one doesn't have any binder coming out of the top, which is good. Pigmented, let's see, does it move? Kind of moves, but not a massive amount. Not a massive amount of movement. Yeah, the impression that I was given when I was watching the swatching and listening to the discussion was that these are quite bright pigmented watercolors. They might be something that I like. So we shall see. Quin Magenta is okay. It's perhaps not as bright as I would like. I have my Roman Schmall normal magenta, which I can just swatch out here. So you can see the difference. They are different pigments though. I feel like the Roman Schmall magenta is PR122 and this is PR202. Let's try the next one. This is Verzino Violet, which is PR122. So hopefully that's nice and bright and pigmented. It's looking promising. Okay, it's better than the Quin Magenta. And we'll see how that dries, but that is actually quite nice. If I were to get these again, I don't know if I would get the magenta. I think I would just get the Verzino Violet. I must admit though, in my head, I was thinking of a violet color. So I kind of thought that it would be a nice, deep, rich, dark violet. I don't even know what I based that on, whether it was the swatches or just the name. So it's not living up to the name, but I like the color. That's PR122. And then next we have Quin Violet, which is PV55. This has quite a bit of binder at the top. Oh, but it is looking promising. Let's see. Interesting. Yeah, it's a nice violet. I made a video recently talking about like how to learn your palette. And like swatching is part of it, but then it's always nice to think about the pigments, maybe compare them to a different brand that you already have. Obviously use them in paintings, do some color mixing, and then get familiar. But first step, it is swatching, at least for me. The next we have Mars Brown. So I think I got this purely because it was PR101 as opposed to liking browns as a whole. That's interesting. I don't know if you can see. Look at how much of the paintbrush goes in. And still nothing at the tip. That's crazy. Hold on. That is so wild. It's like halfway down. That's weird. Has this happened to you before? Still squeezing. More binder. Almost makes me wish paints came with seals or something. It's all binder. I'm not a fan of this. Not a fan of this one at all. It's a nice color though. That I can't fault, but as for the feel, it doesn't feel like the rest. It's very sticky and stuck down. This, completely random. So I think I was more drawn by the name. This is Dragon's Blood, which is PBR 25. So Roman Schmor's Ocean Blue, I believe, has PBR 25, or one of the colours. Got me really intrigued, but also I was intrigued by the name, so I just wanted to see what this colour looked like. And this I actually really like. I wonder if it's going to granulate. Like, what kind of brown is it going to be? Just want to see what it's like in mass tone as well. So far, none of them have granulated, really. We'll see how that dries and take it from there. Then this is PB60. I don't know how to say this blue, but it's Indanthrone Blue, which is one of my favorite blues across brands, because look at that. Like, it's just a really nice, deep, rich, dark blue. I love it for purples. It usually doesn't granulate as well, so I think that's in particular why I like it for purples, because I feel like sometimes, although ultramarine blue is a beautiful blue, and although it will give you some really nice purples and really nice greens, because it granulates, I feel like sometimes you always inadvertently end up with like a mineral violet, you know, like a granulating purple that has specks of red and specks of blue, and I think that that in itself is beautiful if it's intentional, but sometimes you just want a flat purple, you know, like you just want a nice uniform purple, and for that I tend to turn to Indanthrone Blue, which is PB60. So that's quite nice, and we'll see how it dries as well. Then we have Phthalo Turquoise, which is PB15-4. Is that binder or the color? It's the color. Nope, it's binder. So there's quite a bit of binder separation. Let me just try and mix that. I don't have many PB15-4s, so I don't really know what to expect from this, but this looks like quite a nice and unique color. Like, I don't feel like I have this color with all the blues that I have and all the turquoises that I have. This one does feel quite different. Then we have Payne's Grey. So you could kind of see I was kind of going for like a complete set, like a primary. Oh, that is nice. That's actually been one of my favorites so far. So like a primary set, but with a twist. Enough to have it not just be the same colors as, you know, the same split primaries. So instead of going for an ultramarine, I got Indanthrone Blue. This Payne's Grey, it doesn't have any pigment information that I could see, but this is beautiful. Like, it leans so blue. This is a really nice Payne's Grey. This is my favorite color thus far from this set. And these 10 colors are the MaiMeri Blu watercolors that I got from this haul. But there's more. There's so much more. Because I was feeling incredibly random. So you may know that I love adding gold to a lot of my artwork. Let me show you. I just think it's a wonderful way to add accents and add details, and when it comes to my florals, I just absolutely love adding gold. And I tend to use the etchr gold, which is gold watercolor, but I wanted to see other golds, you know, like I wanted to try other mediums and kind of see how they would work. Would they work better? Would I like them better or less? And so I got two. Just want to see how opaque they are. So I got the golden. I don't use like acrylics that much, but I am starting to dip my toes in it. But I keep hearing people talk about golden acrylics, so I decided to get this. And then I also got Winsor & Newton gouache, and I got gold gouache, which with all the gouache that I have used, bought and painted with, I've never tried gold. So let's try and see. I'm quite impressed because it's easier than watercolor, you know, like it just goes straight on. Watercolor, you know, you quite often have to reactivate it, and I love the colors, don't get me wrong, can't fault it in that. But let me show you, like here for example, been using this, so you normally have to either add water beforehand or reactivate it. Tiny drawing here, you can see. So this is the Winsor & Newton gold gouache, which again I haven't tried before. Oh, this is a lot warmer. I kind of wonder, hold on, it's a lot warmer. It's more like almost rust looking, But it's nice again, nice coverage. I kind of wonder which one I would lean towards. And it's tricky also because we're obviously doing this over white paper. So it looks completely different when you then use it in a painting, like on top of a painting. But they are super, super different. I kind of feel like I'm leaning more towards the golden acrylic, like I like the more yellowy one. But I feel like what I use is actually something in between these two. So I've finished 3 or 4 of the etchr golden colours. I think I started with pure gold, then royal gold, now I'm on sand. And I just tend, see, my one is kind of in between. So it's also, as you can see, more transparent. So I've just been making my way through them because you can't buy the etchr ones open stock, but I do love the way they look. So I guess I was looking for open stock versions and also just options that are a bit more opaque, should it be called for. This is the gouache. And this is the etchr sand watercolour. But we're not done because I got even more colours. This is Isaro's Mindy Green. There was a, whoops, don't want it to spill, so let me be quick. A few art hauls ago, I discovered Isaro. Their greens. Oh, this looks like green gold. I discovered their Nordman green, the boreal blue, their steel blues, and the colors were just really, really beautiful. So I wanted to see if there were any other hidden gems. I prefer this to the green gold, but I feel like, I don't know, we'll see, because in the description it says it's PY110, PG7 and pearlescent. So we'll see what it looks like when it dries and if there's any shimmer or shine. I also got Sennelier's Sophie Yellow, and this is PY93, and I got this because Renee, one of my Ko-fi members, had said this is her favorite yellow, so I wanted to see what it's like. And then also, as soon as she mentioned that, it was like sold out for ages. You know, the harder you have to fight to get something, sometimes the more you want it. This is a really nice, is it warmish? Like a warmy middle yellow. It says, let me go over this, it's semi-opaque. That's really, really nice and bright, and when we make it lighter, it is equally nice. Then I got a few Holbein colours. So this is Cobalt Turquoise Light by Holbein. I keep getting different versions of this colour from different brands because it is one of my go-tos in gouache. And as I start to paint more watercolour landscapes, I wondered if there was a place for this. So it's made up of PB28. I think it's definitely going to granulate. I do love convenience colours, as you can probably tell. I think that there's a beauty in being able to mix colours, because then if you really need something, you know how to make it, and it just opens doors, I feel, and it can make your art look really nice and creative. There is also something so nice about just having colours that you like readily available. This stick is the Daniel Smith Cobalt Teal Blue, which is PG50, and it is a watercolour stick. So normally what I do with watercolour sticks is I cut them into like a tiny, maybe like cut them up to there, so like a centimetre off, and then just put it into a half pan and use it as a half pan. So I don't tend to draw with them or use them as crayons or anything like that. I think it's fine if you want to. The role that they play in my, I guess, art toolbox is to be a more economical way of buying the nice watercolors that tend to be a little bit more expensive, because they are all the same price irrespective of what series they are. So whereas this would be more expensive in a tube compared to like ultramarine, for example, in stick form it's all the same price. So it can be a really good way to buy the more expensive Daniel Smith colours. I've got Manganese Blue Nova by Holbein, and this is PB15. Let's see. I was going to say I prefer the Cobalt Turquoise Light, but I don't know, maybe this Manganese Blue is a little bit more like summer sky, you know? Now, let's look at some more of the sticks. So, the other sticks that I got are Phthalo Blue, and to be fair, Phthalo Blue is usually like not that much of an expensive colour. It's just a colour that I kept using over and over and over again. I got it during the sale. It is PB153, so it's phthalo blue green shade, which is a nice bright electric blue. And then we have Quin Violet, which is PV19. Interesting. This is why like pigment names can be so helpful, because this is Daniel Smith's Quin Violet, this is MaiMeri Blu's Quin Violet. They have different pigments and they are completely different. So if you're expecting this and you got this, or vice versa, it would either be a very happy accident or an expensive mistake. And then we also have Moon Glow. So yeah, I know that in theory, like, you know, you could wet it and then do this. This doesn't feel satisfying to me at all. But in theory, I don't know, it's not nice. But in theory, you could then reactivate them should you wish. But personally, I prefer just using them as pans or half pans, or just easier ways to carry the paints. If you did want to draw with them, then I think wetting the paper, as you can see, is a better way to go, as opposed to just using them on dry paper and then experimenting that way. We're not done yet, because we also have these. I love Neocolor IIs, and they are the water-soluble Neocolors. I use them all the time to add extra details, but I wanted to see and to continue to experiment with the Neocolor Is, which are essentially non-water soluble. And sometimes if I'm adding details at the very end, it doesn't really matter like which one I'm using, whether it's 1 or 2, but I kind of thought that if I want to do more resist technique, then it might be helpful to have the Neocolor Is instead. So this first color is purple, then next is salmon, next is Sahara, which I really like in the Neocolor II version, then yellow. Oh man, that was broken. Then we have dark ultramarine. That's really nice. And last but not least, dark olive. So I did also get a white, but there's no point really swatching that out. But again, for resist. So this is perhaps the downside of using these. It's a little bit annoying because it's broken. If it's a Neocolor II and it's broken, then I find it that it's fine, because if I really want to, I could just take that broken bit, cut it up into small pieces, put it in a half pan, and then you almost have like your own makeshift gouache / watercolor made out of Neocolor II. With the Neocolor I, it's a little bit more annoying because it's essentially just a small broken crayon. However, I guess it just means that I can use it, have one in the studio and one in my go bag. I did get some more. That's these colors. So these are the FW De La Rani acrylic inks, and I got some are replacements. So the Rani blue is like topping up the color that I already have, as is the peach pink and the purple lake and the gold. So these are colors that are, I guess, my most used acrylic ink colors. And as an example of where I've used them, let me show you. You can see them swatched out there. So I used them quite a lot when I was doing abstract grids here as well, but also they were really great for creating and decorating my etchr covers. So I was replacing those, and let me just show you. Some of these lighter colors is better to shake it up. Well, I guess all the colors, but sometimes if you look at a color and it almost looks like this, then when you shake it up, you then actually get the proper color. So this is Rani blue, my favorite blue at the moment anyway. Then next we have Purple Lake, which as you can see is just a really beautiful purple. Then Peach Pink, I think in some places it's called Flesh Tint or something like that. Then they realized it wasn't PC and they changed the name, but still really nice, delicate, pale color. Then Process Magenta, which is this reddy pink that I think works really nicely when I use it with the Purple Lake. So I like using them two together, and that's what I used in my cover. Then this is the new one, the pearlescent color that I haven't tried before. It does shimmer. And then last but not least, we have the OG, and that is the gold. I think it's called Gold Imit, as in like imitation gold. Oh my gosh. So final thoughts. I like the MaiMeri Blu. I like some of the colours. Some of them I'm a little bit underwhelmed by. So in terms of the color, I like the transparent yellow. I just kind of feel like there are brighter PY150s, or at least PY150s that have a little bit more of a range. So this is Rosa Gallery's PY150. This is MaiMeri Blu's. It's okay. Like, it's okay. The green gold, I'm not a massive fan of, but that's personal preference. The Quin Magenta, not a massive fan of at all. I find that the reason that I like quinacridone colours quite a lot of the time is that they are like super bright and punchy and in your face. Let me find an example, usually. So this one is a Daniel Smith Quin Rose, and this one just feels a little dull in comparison. So I wouldn't get the Quin Magenta again. The Vertzino Violet, I like. To me, that's actually what I would expect of a Quin Magenta, so that was quite nice, although I think that the Roman Schmall one is brighter. The Quin Violet is okay. The Mars Brown is really nice, and it started to granulate, but that's the one that was like loads missing from the tube. Dragon's Blood, I love. The Fiance, let's see. So this is PB60, and this is the other PB60s. What do you think? So these are the PB60s here. So it's closest to maybe the Holbein Royal Blue. I feel like it's closest to. The Phthalo Turquoise almost looks like, no, the Marine Blue by Holbein's a lot brighter. So the Phthalo Turquoise I like because it's a unique colour that I don't have, but again feels a little bit dull. The Payne's Grey I really liked. Like, this is one of the Payne's Greys that I've really enjoyed. I think especially because it's quite blue leaning, and I've made a whole video swatching out Payne's Greys because I think this is my 11th or 12th Payne's Grey. I have a thing for them. And then our golds, which are sparkling. I really like the golden gold. The etchr sand I really like, and I was right in that it's in between the two, only that it's more translucent, the etchr sand. I can't really see a shimmer in the Mindy Green, so I think that I like it more than the MaiMeri Blu Green Gold. They're kind of similar. They almost feel like between these two, but it's not necessarily a colour that I must have. The Sennelier Sophie Yellow is beautiful. The Quin Violet is okay, and again I just find it so funny how they're called the same thing and look completely different. So just a heads up to always, if you can, look at swatches. And if you do want to learn more about pigments, I have made an entire video just highlighting the basics that will help you avoid costly mistakes, and I'll leave that video linked for you. The Moon Glow is lovely. The Manganese Blue Hue I really like. Actually, initially I thought I liked this more, but now that they have dried and I can see how nice and flat this is, I prefer this. And I feel like this Cobalt Turquoise Light is the only Holbein colour that I have seen granulate thus far. So I like this pearlescent pink as well. So this is my mixed media haul. It's so funny when you look at it on one page. It's just crazy how expensive it actually all is, given that it's all on one page. I feel like only art lovers will understand. But let's create something. Let's make some art with these new supplies and kind of see how they can work together. So this is essentially my process for creating these abstract grids that were created using some of the supplies that we've got during this recent art haul. The real-time process of what I have done and how I do it will be on Ko-fi for my Ko-fi members, and I've got some other examples for my Ko-fi members as well. If you're still watching, then you are a real MVP, and I really appreciate you. Let me know that you are still watching by telling me what your favorite was from this art haul. If you enjoyed this video, then you will definitely love this series of next ones where I share my favorite and my most used art supplies. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.